Thanks for your support as a channel member, Therian Angel! It's been rumoured that the Aston Martin Formula One team is preparing a $1 billion contract offer for F1 World Champion Max Verstappen, but how might the Dutchman get on at the Silverstone-based team? Thanks to the F1 Manager database editor, the Red Bull driver has traded navy blue for racing green. Max seems happy enough to be here. Here's his contract. Yes, that's a $1 billion annual salary, an eye-watering $83 million every month. For anyone thinking we might run out of money, don't worry, Daddy Stroll has us covered. Our car is mid, to say the least, and it stacks up badly against Verstappen's old Red Bull and the reigning Constructors' Champions McLaren. With improvements needed, I channeled my inner Adrian Newey to design a new underfloor to kick off development. Here's the rest of the grid. It's a 2025 lineup, so Perez is on the beach and Hamilton is at Ferrari. Lawson is in the Red Bull, and thanks to a vote on Discord, he's joined by Yuki Tsunoda. Franco Colapinto replaces the Japanese driver at Racing Bulls, mostly because he was the first driver that didn't cause the editor to crash. I don't think we should pretend that we have a shot at the title, but where do you think Max can drag himself to in this car? I'm going to say he finishes in the top 6. We did end up $37 million in the red before Australia, but a quick text message to Papa Stroll sorted that out, and with the bank balance topped up, we ploughed on with designing more new parts. Despite the car lacking front-running performance, Verstappen qualified 11th in Australia. He made a great start too, rising to 9th, showing his former team no mercy on track. But that was as good as things got in the opening race as both drivers plummeted down the order. Our $1 billion man was consigned to finishing 14th as Lewis Hamilton won on his Ferrari debut. It was a dismal debut for Verstappen, ending a lap down. Stroll underscored our need for improvement by finishing P last. We had that new underfloor on Max's car for China, where we had our first sprint of the year. It helped propel the Dutchman to his first points of the season, finishing 6th in the sprint thanks to this overtake on Red Bull successor Tsunoda. Verstappen made up 3 places in the Grand Prix to finish 9th. The China points moved the team to 5th in the Constructors and Verstappen to 9th in the Drivers. The Dutchman picked up another point in Japan as we awaited more upgrades on the car. For Bahrain, we did have new parts for Verstappen, bringing chassis and suspension updates. These helped Verstappen deliver more points in Sakir. He picked up 6th place, helped in part by this error by Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli. Verstappen's 8 points moved him within 3 of Red Bull's Yuki Tsunoda. He then picked up consecutive 7th place finishes in Jeddah and Miami, although we didn't score anything in the Florida sprint race. A quarter of the way through the season, and Max has scored 26 points so far to sit 9th in the drivers' table and haul the team to 5th in the constructors, 20 clear of Haas. We are a long way, however, off of Red Bull as Stroll has contributed nothing. Victory in Miami for Lando Norris means he leads the championship despite Hamilton having won 3 races so far. On to round 7 at Imola then, and we had new side pods available for Verstappen's car. The upgrades saw him move from 12th to 7th in a wet race, which means he's now equal on points with Liam Lawson. In Monaco, Verstappen qualified 8th and was up to 6th when the race was stopped. We chased Russell and Norris to the finish in the closing laps, narrowly missing out on our best result of the season so far to the Mercedes driver. Still, P6 was a solid result and Stroll finished 9th to score 2 points, so this was still the team's best weekend so far. Verstappen's second P6 of the year moved him to 7th in the standings, 14 points behind Kimi Antonelli. Spain saw us collect P8 before a 10th place finish in Canada, where we brought a new front wing. We also had a new rear wing for Austria, but we finished just outside the points as Verstappen dropped back behind the Red Bull drivers in the championship. The team headed to Silverstone for its home race, the factory of course just minutes away from the circuit. Qualifying was horrendous, with Verstappen slowest of everyone, and despite the Dutchman putting in a terrific drive, he came away pointless in the Grand Prix, finishing in 11th. At the midpoint of the season, it's Ferrari's Charles Leclerc on top, 52 points clear of teammate Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris is 3rd and Max is in 9th, 11 points behind Tsunoda, who's now the lead Red Bull driver. If you've made it this far into the video and you're enjoying it, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. And you can become part of our Discord community. It's full of motorsport fans and we chat F1, the Junior Series, football, and we share our F1 Manager saves. Click the link in the description to join the team. We started the second half of the year with upgrades, bringing a new chassis, underfloor and suspension. And we needed it because our car is awful compared to everybody else. That's because I hadn't realised this save had hard car development enabled, meaning everyone had outstripped us in the development race, which I suppose isn't unrealistic for Aston Martin. We didn't score in the Spa sprint, but Verstappen did drag the car to 8th in the Grand Prix ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hungary though was a disaster as we locked out the back row and were last of the finishers. This meant I got an email from the board telling me they'd lost confidence in my leadership, and if things didn't improve I'd be out of a job at the end of the season. The next race didn't go well either, with a double DNF at Verstappen's home race in Zandvoort, and his next race in Monza was wrecked thanks to this collision with Ocon, not the first time these two have tangled. And despite further collisions, we went another race without points as Stroll finished 11th and Verstappen soldiered on to 13th. Ahead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we were the beneficiaries of an FIA intervention. The governing body made undisclosed agreements with several other teams, which saw our competitiveness increase. As far as I'm aware, we hadn't been doing anything beyond the rules, so the other teams were clearly up to no good. And that intervention helped us end our barren points run as Verstappen finished 8th in Baku, although he had qualified on the second row. The Dutchman didn't finish in Singapore, while Yuki Tsunoda scored his first Red Bull podium. Things weren't much better in the sprint at Austin. Max started 3rd but plummeted to 18th. He qualified 7th for the Grand Prix and he converted that to 5th at the flag, our best result of the season, although Lawson collected his first podium of the year. In Mexico, Max collected a stunning podium for Aston Martin. He started 11th on the grid and finished in 3rd. He joined Hamilton and Norris on the rostrum as the team celebrated wildly in the garage. Those 15 points brought him back to within 11 points of Tsunoda. Could he possibly split the Red Bull drivers in the championship? 5th place in the Brazil sprint was useful and the Dutchman followed that up with 6th in the race. Stroll got his second points result of the season in 7th as Ferrari clinched the Constructors' Championship. With 3 rounds to go, Charles Leclerc was on the brink of his first world title. He has a 70-point lead over Lando Norris. But the Monegasque failed to seal the deal in Las Vegas as Liam Lawson took a surprise win for Red Bull ahead of the McLarens. Verstappen picked up another 6th place for Aston Martin with Stroll in 10th. That P5 took Max to 100 points and ahead of Tsunoda. But Max finished outside the points in the Qatar sprint before he picked up 8th in the Grand Prix. Leclerc got the job done in sealing the championship in Qatar despite Lando Norris winning the race. George Russell won the season finale in Abu Dhabi as Verstappen finished 8th again, but Tsunoda's P6 meant the Dutchman lost out in the championship to his Red Bull replacement. It was an interesting season with Verstappen at Aston Martin. Charles Leclerc held off Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton to clinch his maiden world title. He's my tip for the 2025 championship in real life, by the way. Check out that video after this one. The Ferrari driver beat his new teammate Hamilton by 53 points and Norris by 21. But Piastri was disappointed he didn't feature as much in the title fight, failing to win a race all season. Antonelli was impressive at Mercedes and Lawson had the edge on Tsunoda. Perhaps Red Bull did promote the right man after all. We saw 5 different winners and a new winner in Lawson. Hamilton and Leclerc collected 16 wins for Ferrari as they were F1's leading force this season. The podiums had a bit more variety, although Max's P3 in Brazil was the only one to come from outside the top 4 teams. Leclerc's 14 pole positions were enormously helpful in his title victory. It's clear that Verstappen outperformed the machinery he was given, and it was appropriate that Aston got left behind in the development race. Stroll, well, he struggled to make any sort of impression, scoring just 9 points, as Verstappen was convincingly the dominant force in green. In qualifying, Verstappen had an average advantage of nearly 7/10 of a second. That led to an average of 6 places on the grid between them, with Verstappen's average qualifying position being 11th. The now former world champions class shone through in the races though, as he was over 8/10 per lap faster than his teammate. The Dutchman's P9 average was 5 places better than Stroll's 14th. This simulation can give us a flavour of what Verstappen at Aston Martin could be like, but do I think he will end up there? Mercedes boss Toto Wolff flirted with the idea of signing the Red Bull man in 2024 as Hamilton's replacement, but for that to happen now, the Silver Arrows would need to drop Russell or Antonelli. Russell is out of contract at the end of 2025, so it's possible, but I think it's unlikely. I can see Verstappen possibly taking a year out in 2026 and then replacing Alonso at Aston Martin for 2027. He's got a baby on the way after all, and if he's not winning or he's unhappy with how things are going at Red Bull, I don't think he'll stay. We know he wants to do the Le Mans 24-hour event among others. Aston Martin could facilitate that. What do you think? Will we see Verstappen alongside Lance Stroll in an Adrian Newey designed Aston Martin in Formula One? I think we will. If you enjoyed this experiment, check out some of my others, which include a 100 rated grid and filling the grid with 20 of the lowest rated drivers in F1 Manager. Next week, we're going back in time and simulating the 2013 Formula One season with a modded database. Will Sebastian Vettel still be champion, or will we see history rewritten? Stay tuned for that. For now though, thanks for watching, you're the best fans, it's bye for now.